Welcome in, everyone. Hello, hello. Look to your right, to my left. We have a special guest host today, Tim Mulligan. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Amani, thank you so much. I'm doing great. I'm super excited to be here. I know I have some big shoes to fill in Mandy Graziano, but I am going to try to live up to that task. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I have the utmost confidence that you will live up to the task. Mandy is away in Colombia right now, celebrating deserved honors. She's being rewarded for all her work with HBN. So, Mandy, we miss you, but hopefully we can do you proud with this episode. Tim, really quickly, introduce yourself to the audience in case they may not have seen you on a prior episode. Tell them who you are, what you do, but tell them the good stuff too.
Okay, thanks. I by day I am a human resources leader slash attorney. I've been in human resources leadership for 25 years now. I'm embarrassed to say, but yeah. And so I just started a new job. Actually, I'm here in San Diego, California. I'm the chief HR officer for awesome chain of credit unions. It's California Coast Credit Unions here in San Diego. But my background is a mix of hospitality, and then I was a head of HR for the San Diego Zoo for 13 years. And then I moved to Seattle to do some tech, and I worked in the tech world for about 7 years. And then I made my way back to San Diego for this new job. So that's what I do during the day. That's how I know Mandy. I actually hired Mandy back 24 years ago, and we've stayed colleagues ever since then. But I was a guest on your show, as you know, Amani, a few months ago. I was speaking at a conference, and I spoke to you there. But I also came back as a guest because I am an HR person by day, but at night I'm a writer, and on the weekends. So I've actually had a little bit of good success recently with some creative endeavors. I wrote a play called Witchland, which ran for a month in San Diego. It just had a run in Palm Springs for a month, and it just played New York. I went off Broadway in New York just a few weeks ago. And then we adapted it into a graphic novel. I did. And that was published in February. So that's available on Amazon and everywhere else. And as well as I've written a few cookbooks as well. So I work HR by day, and then I dabble in the creative world by night. So that's my story.
We love our creative multitaskers. So congratulations to you. Awesome. We're excited about our guest today. Let's bring our guest in. And, let me think here, because Mandy would usually say, no, Amani, you have to tell everyone what you did this weekend. So, if I did what I did this weekend in memory of Mandy, is I was pretty much inside all weekend doing edits on my second book. And I'm still probably this evening I'll finish up, but I got through almost all edits of like about 73,000 words worth of writing. Wow. And my second edit. So I'm excited. And I'm very relieved because I see the finish line for this round of edits. That's what I did all weekend. I went to what else to do? I visited it quickly. I'm thinking about getting another dog because my dog passed away about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I went to a dog event or whatever and looked at some puppies there. So that was probably fun. That was really fun there.
You didn't come away with one?
No, I'm gonna wait for a while, but I saw one there. The little dog was a little skittish, so I'm waiting for her to be trained, and then we'll see how she acts when she's finished being trained. So yeah.
Amani, when might we see this second book of yours, if I may ask?
You may ask. The goal is to have it be released in October. So we're about 5 months out now. Yeah, 5 months out because I got to turn the edits in. Then we get the pictures done. We do the cover. We do the title. I got to get some nice gifs for my book, which I'm so excited about today's guest. But that's kind of the plan. So we're about 5 months out. The goal is for the final manuscript to be done over the summer. So like the next month. So then over the summer, I can audio record it so we can release them both at the same time.
That's great.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Rasky.
Well, I will beat you by a few weeks. My second graphic novel comes out in September. So That's all I've been, I hear you. I've been working, trying to make deadlines and get that book ready to go. But it's an exciting thing to do on our weekends, huh?
It is. But once we do the hard work up front, we can then enjoy the spoils of our labor afterwards.
Right on.
Yes. Okay, so now we're going to go to our guest here. So we're going to bring our guest on, and round of applause for Elizabeth Doss, who's with us. So there she is on your screen. So hello, Elizabeth. How are we doing?
Hello.
So I figured is that Mandy left a special video to play for you. So I'm going to show the audience the video, which is a great way to introduce Elizabeth. And then we'll get to talking because I got questions. I'm ready to learn how you do all the magic. So first, let's watch this video for Mandy. Thank you, Mandy, for sending it. And then we'll continue. So here we go.
Hey, everybody. Hello from Colombia. Tim, you're going to crush the show today. Amani, hi, I miss you. And
Mandy.
Elizabeth Doss. Since I started working with you, your gifts have changed my business for the better. So I'm so excited you are going to be on the show today. I'm so excited for people to learn the magic that is you, and not just with gifts, with marketing, with social media. Elizabeth is a machine. But I just want to say a story quick about Gifs. GIF, by the way. I'm saying gifts. I'm not saying GIFs. But if you go on Giphy, 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 my impressions are at over 1.3 million. And that is all because of Elizabeth. I saw her online making gifts for real estate agents, for movies, for different organizations. And I thought, I gotta get in on that. That's so cool. And she walked me through the process. Just her process alone, I learned so much. I became a smarter lady just from interacting with her. She captured the essence of all the Mandyisms, of all the interesting things about my business, and put them in very short, easy to see pictures and called gifts. And you can put them anywhere you want. So a lot of times on Instagram, I will respond to people just with a GIF. Instead of a comment, I'll respond just with the GIF. And I got to tell you, I've been in marketing for years. I have invested so much money, other people's money mostly, but sometimes mine, in magazine ads and billboards and registration and conference tables and all that sponsor stuff, which is also great. But the biggest bang for my buck so far has been the visibility of the gifts. So today, when you have this show, I want you to be thinking in your business, in your life, how can you enhance your brand using gifts? Now, just so you know, Elizabeth, she didn't pay me for this. They're not a sponsor of the show. I am just really, this is something I would share if I was on the show today, but I'm not. I'm in Colombia. But I just want to give a special shout out to Elizabeth because what she does is pretty magical. And I'm very excited for all of you to interact with her today. Mwah! Have a great show.
All right. So that was a great video by Mandy. So we appreciate her sending that in. Elizabeth, we got so many questions to start off with. I wonder, and Tim and I will kind of go back and forth playing a little tennis with the questions. Can you share with us what was your first experience ever with gifts?
Wow. I don't know what my first experience maybe, because I mean, I think everybody kind of speaks GIF a little bit in like family chats and that type of thing. So there's a part where we've started using them natively, but I remember several years ago, I was on Instagram and there was a girl that I was following at the time, Martina Martian, I think she called herself at the time. But she was like, guys, check it out. I made my own stickers. And I was like, I felt like a hobbit. Like, Lord of the Rings, I was like, I'm getting one. Like, I'm going to go. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And so I dug into how the technology part of it worked, that Giphy is one of the search engines that fuels the back end of most social media apps. And so I started to dig into how to create my own gifts for myself. So I applied, I posted all of those and was accepted as an artist, a verified artist with Giphy. And at the time, only artists could create gifts. But since then, they've opened it up for brands. And so I started to put on my marketing hat and lean into marketing and think about how could brands leverage this weird little corner of the internet that's animated gifs. And so that's kind of how I got started in doing that. And I've helped over 50 brands get their animations, gifs up and running to be able to use across social.
Amazing.
And this is done through your company is, I'm looking at your website, and is it Izzy? You have two Izzy Inc. Studios, and we can go online and buy a package or have you create gifts for our own businesses. How does it work exactly?
Yeah, sure. So I'd like to start with kind of getting to know you and your business and thinking about how this could become a tool in the marketing toolbox that you're already using across social. So I like to find out what platforms you're on mainly and where your audience is, because then that kind of adjusts how we're going to show up. Because I have people that are mainly TikTok, mainly Instagram, mainly LinkedIn. And so we approach those all a little bit differently based off of the kinds of gifts that you want to use. But for myself, I love digging into a brand, like crawling up inside of of your thought leadership, of the quotes that you're sharing, of the catchphrases that you may have, maybe the reoccurring series that you are putting out there, and we start to craft these branded to you animations so that you can build brand awareness, you can increase engagement, you can build community around these little nuggets of your thought leadership.
Amazing. Amazing. What was like, how do you first, like, how do you make a gift? Do you need to have video? Do you have to give a bunch of pictures? And then how are you able to make it look so smooth? We're gonna look at some examples a little bit later, but
Yeah.
like, what's the process work?
So we definitely start in different ways. If you're wanting a video reaction, or maybe the ones that you see that of your favorite TV shows or movies, they've just taken a little clip of video and then processed it as a GIF. Now there are online places that you can do this. I use Adobe Creative Cloud because especially so for the video reaction side of things, we can take video clips to do that. On the other side, when I'm animating text or illustrations, some of those are hand-drawn illustrations, which is a little bit like old school Disney, where we're drawing frame by frame the different like robot motions, and then looping those together. Or I'll use a program like After Effects where I'm doing motion graphics. So like the way that the text flies in and stuff, and then I'll export those as a loopable animated GIF. And there are 3 different libraries that Giphy is serving. One, I'm going to leave one off to the side because I don't use it currently because there's not really a place to use it technology wise right now, which is Giphy Clips. It's GIFs with audio, so it would loop audio in it. Think like a VH1 video pop up where it would just, you can pop in a clip of like clapping or a cha-ching, and it'll have the sound that's looping as well as the GIF itself. But there's the solid GIFs that fill a background. So you think like a movie, the ones you text to friends, the ones that show up in comments across Facebook, etc. And then there's the Giphy stickers, which are the cut out ones that you see mostly in Instagram stories, Instagram reels, TikToks, where they're adding the sticker that's like cut out and added to it. I hope that, and I can obviously get very technical as much as you want, but that's how I create them, is using After Effects and exporting them. Yeah.
Right. And then what is like, how have you seen it grow and what are you predicting for the future? Because it looks like they're here to stay. What do you see the kind of the Giphy industry, the GIF industry going?
Yeah. Well, it definitely is an interesting time. Meta purchased Giphy several years ago, and so it was very incorporated very much with Facebook and Instagram. But the UK actually filed a complaint against them and said that they were having a monopoly on people's data. So they were forced to sell Giphy, and they sold it to Shutterstock. So I am seeing changes in that side of things, and so that part's definitely interesting to watch. But they say if a picture's worth 1,000 words, then how much is a GIF? Because it moves so much more, and you can convey a lot of information in a little amount of time. I know that like even it was only last year that Instagram added GIF comments to any post. You can comment on any post with a GIF. So there's a part of the technology that I think is still going to be around. And with LinkedIn, I'm seeing a lot of people getting a lot of attention when they can use the GIFs either to post with or to comment with on LinkedIn. Because you think about it, all the comments are text. based on LinkedIn. And so when you have something moving, it catches your eye. And one thing I love about LinkedIn and Gifs is they activate in the notifications. So not only, so when you click the notification to see what's going on, it actually adds, the animation happens there. And so it even catches your eye in notification side. So say you comment on someone's content with a GIF, it's going to be playing in their notifications, which is going to, you know, get them to want to click on it, because our eyes get drawn to little bits of movement. It's like we're cats.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to try that like immediately. So that's interesting. Go ahead, Tim.
So the GIF is there a maximum length or duration? Or I know they're very short, right?
They are. The recommendation is to keep them 15 seconds or less if possible, but there are some longer ones, because the goal is to keep it the size of it small enough that it doesn't take any time for it to load or, you know, or to play. So
when you work with a client, like for example, if I came to you and said I want some GIFs for my LinkedIn posts, or my say I'm writing stuff for I'm advertising a play that I've written or a book, and I would choose with you what's best for this. And you mentioned some of the options: an animated illustration, do some like wiggly word type stuff, photo, video. Like, how do you decide what's going to be the most, you know, bang for the buck or most impactful for that post? Like, what's the best gift for a situation?
Exactly. So I come to it from a couple of directions. In that, one, I would love for you to be able to establish or drive home maybe a quote from your play, or you know, one of your characters from the play. Even like the graphic novel that you were speaking of earlier, you could have this image with the text coming on, that it conveys the idea of what you're trying to get across. So for me, I would look into these areas where you are wanting to create a community around that piece of work that you're creating. So if you have a book and you have a quote or a phrase that you are teaching in that book, it's then it's a way for you to have this little repeatable piece of content that's a touch point to remind people of the larger experience or the larger goal that you've had, you know, with them. The other thing is creating your own library of reactions that are branded to you.
Yeah.
So I think of, especially on LinkedIn, a lot of people are talking about promotions or new jobs. So having a couple of GIFs that can say congratulations or cheers or I love this, like there, but it could have your handle or your website in the GIF itself, so that when you comment with it, it'll be a custom like little greeting card signed by you that's animated on their content. And you can not only comment on your own responding to people, it's a way for you to kind of already have a library of reactions, but you can also go and comment on other people's content, but they get to see your website, your handle, even your book quoted there, or your play quoted.
That's great. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah. So shout out Melissa Majors in the chat there, previous guest, close friend, and amazing human. She says she loves it. She wants to do this. I want to do it too. So if we take the book idea and let's take it a little further, like I have a book coming out. It talks about like R&B groups, but it also talks about 7 ways to unlock your creativity. Like, how would you, if we're just brainstorming right now, like what could I do now to like really start to create some cool gifts as a lead up to when the book comes out? Like I was telling with Tim, like his book's coming out in September, mine's coming out in October. What could we do now to really start to build our library of gifts so that once the book hits, people are like, oh yes, I've been looking for this?
I would recommend especially any quotes from the book. And the shorter, the better, if that's possible. Even the idea you're saying the 7 ways to be creative, you could even have a GIF that quickly goes through the 7. So for instance, like Mandy's, one of the GIFs that we did for her, she had like 4 ways to have business bedside manner.
Yeah.
And because this is a part of her book, part of Sales Tales. And so we broke down those things quickly. So say somebody comments about the book or something, but you can quickly remind them of the 7. It would go through them quickly, or you could have a GIF for each that digs a little deeper into that particular idea. I do this too with like clients that have different types of services that they offer. Just like both of you guys are Renaissance men, where you do,
Thank you.
where you have multiple things. And if you wanted to have a gift that showcased those services, I have a friend, Caitlin Cassio. She's in Florida, and we made a gift that rotated through all the things that she offers her clients of branding, print services. Like it just would rotate through those things. And so it's that idea of how could you build this library that drives that point home, or maybe. So I'm going to set that aside. Maybe there are some statistics that you have in your book. And so there's a way for you could build a statistic GIF that, say there's a conversation going on about hip hop groups, and you could have a GIF that says, well, did you know that 1 out of blah, 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 whatever, that I'm going to make statistics.
Yeah,
but
okay.
you could contribute to conversations like that using the GIF itself. And anyway, I hope that answered some of your questions.
So let's actually take that a little further. We're going to pull up Mandy's gifts to show us just what you were speaking of. So what we're going to do now is let me go to, I love these. And I have to tell you a story. Let's first get it up here. Okay. So on your screen, everyone should see, this is Mandy Graziano. This is her gifts. And she's got over 2 million now, 2 million views. Awesome. And let me share the screen with us in our little platform so you can see my screen, just so you can see what I'm looking at here. Okay. So hold on, I'm going to share this with you all in there. Okay, so you can see it in the Ping platform. You see it there. You can make it bigger too. Okay, so we reconnected, so we should still be here. Okay. Let's actually refresh this. Hold on, let's refresh. Let's refresh our screen here. Okay. Okay, so we'll refresh here. Let me go. Okay, good. So we're live. We're good. Now, show us a couple of, like, first of all, when I saw this one of Mandy, when she was like kicking, I could not stop laughing for like 8 minutes straight. It was brilliant. I was just like, oh my gosh. So kind of talk to us about what you see here and all those.
Yes. So one thing that we all know about Mandy is she is one of the biggest cheerleaders across the board. She wants to support people in whatever way is possible. So we wanted to make sure that we created a couple of gifts for her to be able to comment on other people's content that celebrated them or celebrated what they were doing. So that Go Get 'Em Tiger has that, like, I could see her doing that for somebody who's scared that they're about to go on stage or do something that they've never done before. And she's giving them that little bit of encouragement. Or maybe they got a new promotion and she can still say, go get them. Good job. You know, and we do have the go good job one. And of course, her giving the little high five to at the end there. So, but if you scroll down a little bit to some of the lower ones, now I do need to give a disclaimer. Mandy got a hold of Giphy itself, and you can create your own GIFs within the platform. So she made some for her husband for his birthday. So I did not make the ones of her husband, just so everybody knows. That was all her. But if you scroll below those, I just really very quickly, I was going to show you. So keep going. So even like the awesome and the wowzas, like it's a way for her to react. You can see we also took her book cover and created little gift stickers. So maybe when she's on Instagram Reels or TikTok, if she's talking about her book, she can add a little cover of her book down in the corner. When you keep scrolling just a little bit more, and then I'll hand it back to you. But you can see, if you want to go ahead and let's keep going down one more, a little bit more.
Yeah.
So right here, some of the phrases that she uses are like, instead of asking about the weather, to ask people what made you laugh today or laugh this week, I guess. And so it's a way she's trying to retrain the people she's coaching with how to she's wanting to remind them, don't get stuck in that rut of only talking about the weather. Ask them something unusual, like what's the last thing that made you laugh, because it'll take them off guard. You may get to know something about them that you didn't know before. So anyway, did you have any other questions about any of them?
Curious. So if I came to you, or like Mandy or Amani, any of us came to you or Izzy Inc. and said, I want some gifts. I like Mandy's karate chops, or whatever it might be. What does a package include? You get like you get a package of I guess it depends on the different options, but you come away with some custom gifts that we could use.
Yeah. Yes. So I currently have a starter package, which is the animation of the gifts themselves, and there's 15 unique designs which are converted into stickers and as well as solid ones, because Giphy is accessing those in different places across social media. So I want to make sure that you have gifts visible wherever you're trying to search. So there's some that the stickers will only show up in Instagram story stickers, TikTok stickers, reel stickers, but the solid ones will show up in comments, Facebook comments, Instagram comments on X. You can use them at Twitter. You can also iMessage them, text them to people, and you can also embed them in emails as well as embed them on websites. Even on LinkedIn, you can use them in newsletters, and they activate as the newsletter cover. So all your people subscribing to your newsletter will get a notification that you have a new one, but it'll actually play the GIF in the notification side of things. So that part's super cool. But anyway, so you get that, but I also we work on those together to cultivate like this library of gifts that you want. But then I set up the Giphy account, and I walk you through the process of getting verified through Giphy, because they have to make sure you are who you say you are, and you're allowed to represent who you're representing. And so we kind of have to walk through some of their hoops. And once you get approved, then your gifts will be searchable, and they're actually searchable by handles. So if you're a brand on Giphy, you're able to search the @ symbol. And so like if you want to find Mandy's gifts, you can type in @Mandy Graziano. Although I also do keyword them. So just like there's SEO, search engine optimization, there is GEO, GIF engine optimization.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you got to think about, how is somebody typing this word into a GIF search that your content would be the solution that they are looking for. And so
if someone searches it, then they find it, they can use that GIF on their own as a GIF, or you think there's what's the brand marketing play there? Like what does the search do?
So the search is visibility. So like with Mandy's here, hers have been viewed over 2 million times.
Yes.
So and when they do supply you with a little bit of data on the back end, the Giphy side, we know the total number of views. We know which GIFs are the most viewed. We also get to see which ones are the most engaged with, and what search term is someone typing in that they are, then that percentage of time that they're choosing it for. So I've done some GIFs for a Japanese restaurant, and for a while there, because it changes obviously with trending and what's the newest GIF and all that stuff. But for a while there, when people would type in Japanese food, they were choosing our small restaurant's GIF like 3% of the time to be able to text it to their family. So I also make sure that some of your industry keywords you're going to show up for on the back end. And actually, Google does include these as part of your they can start to rank for your images in Google. So anyway, that part's fascinating too, that it includes those views to be able to boost it on the image side. So
Thank you.
Follow-up question with this one. Did Mandy, how did she record herself kicking and giving the high five? How does that work? Do you have to have a green screen? What's the process?
No, so I'll say I created a little tutorial that kind of walks you through what I need you to do. So for Mandy, I asked her to do the motion several times in a row, because I'm looking for to be able to trim it and cut it in the middle of her moving. That way, it looks like it's constantly looping. But as far as filming it, I just have somebody set up and try to have as neutral of a background behind you that doesn't match your hair or your clothes,
Right,
your skin,
right.
so you don't disappear. A green screen obviously is the best, but a lot of people don't have a green screen. But no,
Yeah.
so I do remove the background, and then I add in some of her brand colors to the back end. So yeah.
Can you tell us about one of the most challenging gift projects you've worked on?
Oh,
You don't have to say the brand, but you can if you want to.
I think for me, the challenge is when someone doesn't know. They just get excited about having them, but they don't have a brand or a product or a website.
It's just them.
So that, as far as being difficult, it's more about, do you have those ducks in a row before you come to me? And then, because I'm that is not my expertise. I have friends that do that well, but I'm more wanting to play in an already established playground of your content, if that makes sense. I'm wanting to pull those things out and represent you, not sculpt it from the ground up. So that to me is like the hardest part of doing this. So.
And you had a background in, like, was your background in marketing? Was your background was like in animation and creativity? Like what was the nexus to where this entrepreneur you are today? How did you get into Gifs?
Well, my degree is in opera, so it has nothing to do with anything.
I love it.
So as far as like background, for me, even as a little kid, I was always fascinated with animation. Like I drew a lot, and I was obsessed with Saturday morning cartoons. So there's a part of me that's always loved the animation side of things. But no, I was actually at a conference for Christian artists, and there was a gentleman speaking. His name's Matt Tommy, and he said to look to where the attention of your generation is and the skills in your hand and lean into it. And I I look to the attention, which is social media, across the world. But also the week that I had watched that from him, one of the girls in my youth group came up to me and said, "Hey, this girl's talking about you on TikTok." Granted, this was years ago, and I was like, "What's TikTok?" I had no idea.
This is good. This is good. Keep going.
But she was a content creator for Delta Airlines corporate, and she had gotten on TikTok and said, "Hey guys, if you're looking for great stickers for your TikToks or Instagram, search these handles." And she said my name, and so this girl, she had 6 million followers at the time, and so the girl from my youth group was like, "She's talking about you," because and I was like, "What?" And I went out, and at the time I had abandoned. Sorry, we have a thunderstorm coming through here. If you hear the thunder, but I kind of abandoned my Giphy, and I went and logged onto it and saw that my GIFs had been viewed at that point over 3 billion times. It's now over 5 billion, and so that attention of your generation thing kind of caught in me. Like, okay, I have attention here. I know how to make these animations and do these GIFs. But now I need to lean into how could these be used strategically by brands to have these little touch points with their community. And so that's kind of how I leaned into doing this. So.
Are there some Elizabeth Doss opera GIFs out there where you're singing?
Not for me personally. I have friends who I sang with in college who do. We've created the GIFs for them because they actually do perform currently, like across the world, and so we do. That's Living Opera is the name of the company, and we do have GIFs for them, but none of me.
Yeah. Cool.
Did you end up reaching out or talking to the representative from Delta, maybe trying to partner with them, or how did?
I did. I reached out to her and I made her a GIF. And so we got to talk just a little bit. It wasn't for Delta proper because she was creating her own content too on the side, but she wanted a GIF that said "Weekend Warrior" because that was kind of the area of life she was at that time, that she was knocking these things out. And so anyway, we had a nice little chat about that, but I was able to thank her for shouting me out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if I
Now,
could ask you a separate question, I mean, obviously the gifts are awesome. I could watch these gifts all day, but also kudos on your own business and being an entrepreneur. And I'm wondering, you built this great company. How do you maintain your own sense of balance and keep your well-being amidst such the hustle and bustle of entrepreneurship and the competition? And how do you do that?
Very carefully. No, I think for me, making sure I have a friend, he's on LinkedIn a lot, Richard Liverman. He's my business mentor, but he talks about creating scaffolding. So when you think about like a building that they're working on, the scaffolding that helps kind of hold the structure while they're doing the work on the inside, and making sure that you people in and around you that you can process with. So my husband is great at that, like being able to process with him, but having people like Richard, and I saw Natasha was in the audience, but having people that, and like Mandy and like you guys, having people that you can kind of check in with, and just a reminder that you don't have to do all things all the time always, and just getting more realistic the workload and not overwhelming, because I have a friend, her name's Kenya Kelly. She teaches people how to do business on TikTok, but she always says people want to go viral, but they have you built the systems in place to be able to handle or to capture that attention. And if you haven't written the book like you guys are doing, where they could get a little piece, a little more of you, or a little more of your story, are you building it in such a way that you potentially could capture that community that that you're watching? So I know I got a little off topic there, but
no, it's great. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you a couple questions. First, like when we take a step back and look at like social media in general, because you also work in that space, what's your perspective on kind of what's going on in the news? You have like TikToks in the news a lot, but you also use LinkedIn a lot, X. What's your current like evaluation of the social media landscape?
I still say you need to know where your community is. We get caught up in the TikToks of the world that can get you an audience quickly, but you might end up with the wrong audience. These may not be the droids you're looking for, but but how can you really dig into where you want to be? So for myself, I have focused mainly on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Instagram because of the technical ways to use Gifs across there. I find that I like teaching people how to push the buttons and how to do all that. But for LinkedIn, it's where my ideal customer really is. I'm wanting to work with businesses, not just I love small business owners. I love being able to help out where I can. But if I'm honest with who my target is, it's other business leaders. And so that's why I need to be on LinkedIn and showing up there. And so I think it deals a lot with that. But I think also we're shifting out of an influencer economy into a community economy. And so how can you build community in and around the subject matters that are dear to you, finding the people that resonate with those things and empowering them to continue those conversations? That's why Facebook groups, I think, have done so well. They get a little bit off topic sometimes, I think. but if you can harness that conversation and where are the places that you can build community? Like Adventures in Business has built its own community here of people showing up, and they're constantly adding to that conversation. And how can you get the community members to start encouraging each other and stuff? So I would say that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Okay. And then my kind of follow-up question to that would be, so say you're on LinkedIn, and just when you think about social media kind of processes and best practices, what have you witnessed where people who really do well on a platform like LinkedIn, what are they doing to consistently grow, but also become a subject matter expert in their field or in their space of expertise?
Yes. Obviously posting consistently is going to be the way to go. Now, I do know that LinkedIn, for instance, is testing a new feed that's going to be very similar to TikTok in that it is going to suggest content. So I would highlight, and this is a video only feed, vertical video, short form. It's coming in. Some of my friends already have it where the icons at the bottom, one of them is like the network one, I think, is replaced with a video feed. And so what you want to be doing is creating content that establishes your authority and credibility in the niche that you're wanting to be known for. Because if someone is searching for a particular topic within LinkedIn and they get in the rabbit hole of this feed, your content could be shuffled in underneath. Let's say if you're talking about DJing, and so people are searching for this on there, and so maybe they watch this one video, but Amani's video might get filed in next underneath it. And then how can you position yourself in such a way that your content could be filed under? And I think it's a realm of discoverability that could be really interesting for someone doing it well on LinkedIn. And as far as my advice on how to show up on short form video, I learned this from Glinda Baker. She's one of my clients, but she's a real estate agent in Atlanta. And she's got a huge TikTok following, huge Instagram following. But she said she was so uncomfortable on camera. But what she started doing was she would, with her best friend in iMessage or even in the DMs, she only would let herself respond to her friend in video form. So she'd have to hold her phone and talk and answer her friend's question. She wouldn't allow herself to text her or any other form. She had to send her a video. So she had to practice speaking like herself in that video. And then she started slowly opening up that concentric circle of influence. So it wasn't just her best friend. It was all of the members of her family. She would only respond to them in video. Then with clients, if they asked questions, she would respond to them on video, and then she would go and turn her camera on live and answer that question public facing to people. So it's a way for you to baby step getting comfortable on camera or sharing your thoughts by practicing with the people who are cheering you on the most, and then slowly start publishing that material. So that's my tip on that.
There you go. Tim, back to you.
No, I think you answered so many questions. I'm wondering about if you had to say one thing about why you think a GIF is such a strategic marketing tool for a brand, whether it be an individual creator like Amani or myself, or a big brand. What is it about a GIF that gives it its competitive edge to a full-fledged commercial or a TikTok video or something?
I think you can communicate a lot in a little bit of a moment. And it can also become very recognizable in the brand colors and even having your face on it. I work with a lot of real estate agents because they love to see their face on everything. And they have a budget for marketing, which is my favorite. But they are constantly wanting to have touch points of reminding people that they're there, and so on that side of things, it's this organic reminder instead of a forced one, because you can allow them to post their content first, your community, like your followers, etc. But then you can go out and comment on things that they're doing, but it's with stuff. And I think still with the GIFs, it's unexpected. Even on Instagram comments, there are times when if I comment on a larger brand that I like to follow with a GIF, the GIFs are getting the comment itself is getting hundreds of likes on other people's content. So I think I definitely think there's the humor side of things. If you could figure out how to, with humor, do these to create the GIFs or to get your point across, it's like Mandy's "Go Get 'Em, Tiger," like hit Amani's funny bone. There's a part where
all of us, believe me.
Yeah, that if you can harness that, and so for me with choosing a GIF, I think of subject for subject or emotion for emotion. So let's say somebody posts a picture of dropping their ice cream cone. I could post an ice cream cone GIF, or I could post how it must feel for them to have lost that ice. And so I could send them a GIF of devastation of someone crying. And so you can play around with that. And, you know, I think we've been taught that if you can get anyone to feel something in connection with your brand, you can build that like, know, and trust that everybody is so like, you know, hungry for. If you can make them laugh, if you can make them feel something, then it's a pretty good way to go.
I love it. I love it. Now, we're going to flip the script because we got about 10 minutes left. We're going to let you ask both myself and Tim a question. Any question that you'd like to ask us.
Yeah.
Who would you like to ask the question to first?
I will go with you, Amani, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. I know you have one book out. I know you have a second book that's coming. For your first book that's out, if it had a soundtrack, like a playlist, what's one of the songs that would be on the playlist of your book, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I would say Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim. That's just like a theme song. Old school hip hop. I love Rakim, love Eric B. That would be the first song that comes to mind. The bonus would be Mary Jane by Rick James. That would be the bonus right there.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes. Next. Tim's up next.
Tim is up next. Well, I would like to ask you that question too. Do you have playlists in mind when you're writing the plays that you're creating? Like, do you have a musical component even while you're writing, or I don't know?
I always do. I've written, which one was my first play, but since then I've written 3 more, and I'm always thinking of what's the musical element. I hired a friend of mine named Stisha Pomchak, a good collaborator of mine. She actually created a soundtrack, and I kind of explained to her what I wanted in terms of for the play, and now it's also on my website. If you go to thewishlandplay.com, her music is playing. I wanted kind of a creepy techno vibe, so I always have creepy techno vibes in my head. But then I also think of certain songs, and obviously, you know, I don't have the rights to a lot of these songs, but there's always songs and key moments of my play that I also think about in the books too, like what song would be playing in this point. And so it's you know, the first play, Witchland, is a lot of there's a witch, you know, and it's kind of a dark play, but there's also fun, you know, I think of like Witchy Woman or Moon Dance or some fun things like that. So I'm always thinking of what music I could play if I could, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Great question. So, you know, as we kind of bring this, first of all, this has been a phenomenal interview. I've just got so many notes. I haven't been able to write down because I just want to hear, make sure I don't miss everything. And you've been so informative. And so I definitely think we'll have you back again because there's going to be some follow-up to this. Then my favorite question that I love to ask is, we're going to go back to right as you're graduating in the early 2000s. You're graduating from Asbury University, and you're going to give that version of Elizabeth advice based on what you know now. What advice would you give your younger self?
It's that no training is wasted. I find myself using portions of things that I learned in college about music history, about seeing patterns in things, and even the jobs that I've worked and connecting with people. Like it's that idea that we may feel like we've had these multiple dead ends, but it's not true. All of those things have led to who you are now, and start to mine, you know, the places that you've been, so that you can understand a little bit how you're able to use that in the here and now. So no training is wasted.
I love it. Okay. Tim, I'll go to you for a final question, then I'll close it up. What's maybe your final question you have for Elizabeth? I know
I just think that I go back to you running your own business, but also being an artist and creator. And I'm wondering, you know, many of us have quirky habits or rituals. I mentioned this, you know, strange techno music in my head at all times. Do you have any unusual routines or superstitions that you swear by for your success?
Well, and this is something I did want to mention, is that we have to understand what is our best way of creating. I think people get stuck in, they've got to curate it, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be whatever. But I think some people do better just going live and then cutting that part up. For me, I've noticed that even though most of my work is done digitally, I have to start analog when I'm sketching out my ideas. I need pen on paper. Like I need ink on, even like I like black paper with white ink. But I need a tactile version of getting my ideas out before I can even get digitally. Same with a script for a video. I feel like I have to write it. Even emails sometimes are hard for me to sit there and type out. If I can actually write it on a piece of paper, then it comes out faster for me. And then I just dictate it to my Google Docs. But I think it's that idea of understanding how your creative engine, how you can, what's your barrier of entry? What's the easiest way for you to start creating, and then cultivate that into the creation. You
have to have the right atmosphere, the right surrounding, the right mindset, and we all do different things for that. But otherwise, it's just not going to just come naturally. It has to, you have to be ready for it and be prepared for it. I think so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Final question is, how could we best support you, spread the word? What can we do to kind of support you the best? And just, thank you for being on the show. How can we best support you?
Definitely. So for myself, I love when people use the Gifs that I've created. If you can find them, I try to post about my clients, the work that they're doing. But as far as helping me, just following me on the social media, you'll find me at Izzy Inc. on most platforms. And just support, especially when I'm dropping a tutorial or something like that. Just let me know if you've tried it out. And that's how you can help me out.
I love it. This has been phenomenal. I'm ready for my gifts. I'm not going to call them GIFs anymore. And I can't wait to see how it helps, the brand continue to come to life. So thank you for sharing your expertise. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll have a round of applause for Elizabeth Doss.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes. Okay. We're going to put you back in the green room. We'll be with you momentarily. Tim, we're all done with your first guest appearance. How do you feel?
I hope I acquitted myself well. It was fun. Thank you so much.
Excellent. You did an excellent job. It's been a pleasure. Usually this is the top here when I ask Mandy, who do we have next week? But I believe because Mandy and I are both, we have a pre-broadcast we're going to show next week, I believe. And then so the next few, and then the week after that, I think is Memorial Day or something. So we have a couple pre-broadcasts we're going to show, I believe. Let me verify that. But as usual, just make sure you rate, review, and follow our podcast and our live stream on any platform. Share it with a friend. Leave us a review. Thanks to our guest today, Elizabeth Doss. Thank you, Tim Mulligan, for being our guest host. Sure. And with that, we say we miss you, Mandy. Please be safe. We'll see you when you return to the U.S. And for everyone else, thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.